Hey rockstars and metalheads, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to be talking about something very serious. So, we all know that it's May. My autistic futuristic fears doesn't like it. But of course, every first Saturday in May, horse racing. These horses through the month of May into June are going to be raced against the best of the best in three big races to see who is the American Triple Crown winner. We've got the Kentucky Derby on the very first Saturday in May in Kentucky. This 2 weeks later in Baltimore, Maryland is the Preakness Stakes. And then about 3 weeks later, I think, in June, in Belmont, New York, is the Belmont, which is the longest racetrack. And most horses don't make it because it's like a mile-long racetrack. Now you all are probably wondering why I'm making this video when I post about old racehorses. Well, here's the thing. Those horses deserve to be recognized because they were legends. Like, they left behind a legacy that deserves to be remembered and needs to be passed down into generations of generations. Because, you know, as an equestrian, I still admire those horses. I just don't like today's horse racing. I want to focus on what's really important, which is how bad horse racing has become. All right, to those who don't know what horse racing is, who aren't equestrians or just don't know what it is in general, because I mean, you don't have to be an equestrian to know what it is. Horse racing was an equestrian discipline. Now I just consider it a despicable industry that's trash and garbage. It was an equestrian discipline that required putting 2 or more horses together on a racetrack and racing them to see who the fastest was. And the fastest one crossed the finish line, it was deemed the fastest horse. But recently, things have been going downhill. So we all know that horses are raced really young, from 2 to 3 years old. And when horses are that young, their bones are still developing. So that's already a kind of a problem because you're going to cripple them if you're running them that hard. But we'll talk about that in a minute. What I really want to talk about is the fact that they are breaking them as yearlings, like breaking them to ride. You usually halter break your horse at around 8 months old as a foal. And you just want them to get used to that. And then once they reach a year old, you teach them ground manners, how to stand still, how to let you brush them, how to load them into a trailer, etc., etc., etc. When they are 2 years old, that's when you start, saddle breaking them and rider breaking them. And once they are rideable at 2 years old, you kind of just stick to being in an arena, keep it easy, take it easy on them. At 3 years old, you start doing more and more with them. And then at 4, you take it a little more extreme. And then at 5 years old, you can start doing whatever with them because their bones are fully developed. As long as it's not reckless. These race trainers are breaking these horses, these yearlings, and running them at auctions to be sold off to trainers and breeders. And they're putting these horses at a full sprint. And, they break down a lot.
I cannot believe how many they hurt and kill before they ever even get to the racetrack. It's mind-boggling.
So that's already a big no-no. If you're running yearlings so hard, they might break down. I'm actually going to show you a video of a yearling breaking down on the track, a filly. Now, I want to warn you, this is a very graphic video. You do hear the bone break, and you do see her bone fragments flying around. So if your discretion is advised, if you do not want to see this, skip over this part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she had to be put down because when a horse breaks their leg like that, you can't do anything about it. If a horse fractures their leg, there's a slim chance of them making it, but it can be doable. And if it's a sprained leg, then the horse has a bigger chance of surviving, but you probably just can't do things with it anymore and just take it easy. So yeah, she died, and she'd only been alive for a year, which is disgusting. For the horses that do survive, they probably don't last that long either. 2 through 4 years old, the horses are actually, their bones are still developing because they're young. They're babies. They're basically babies still. They're 5 is when a horse reaches physical maturity. but they're still young, you know, but like these are really young, fragile horses. So out of all the yearlings that make it during those auctions, after being pushed at those dangerous speeds, 2-year-olds are recklessly ran on racetracks along with 3-year-olds. They're pushed so fast that they need to tie their tongues. They are pushing these horses so hard that they have to tongue tie them because they'll choke on their own tongue, which is already a big red flag if you have to do that. Like, just because a horse can reach 45 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds doesn't mean that you should push them to go that fast, unless it is a dire situation like a tornado or a predator. Like, that's the only time a horse should need to go that fast, is if, like, they're in danger. And tongue tying is terrible. People in the horse racing industry, the steeplechase industry, and the harness racing industry all do it because they're pushing their horses too hard. Tongue tying is just disgusting in general because, first of all, that means you're doing something you shouldn't be, pushing your horse too hard. And second of all, it's really stressful for them to have something tying their tongue down because, you know, they use their tongue to feel around their mouth. And so it stresses the horses out. And sometimes they are tied too tight and there are lacerations, bruises, and swelling. Horses are anxious and having difficulty swallowing from tongue tying, so you just shouldn't do it. Also, the jockeys overwhip the horses. Now, whipping is fine if it's a little baby tap because, you know, baby taps to a horse, since they have thinner skin, just feels like someone petting them, like, except with an object. And it's like, oh, okay, I need to go faster. But, like, these jockeys are whipping the shit out of their horses.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more!
And there's a limit, a supposed limit for how many times you should whip a horse, but they probably don't give a f***. And so these jockeys are over whipping their horses. And they also use jiggers. You know what that is? It's a shocking device. And shocking an animal is a felony. Yeah! Well, apparently for horses, not dogs, which is stupid. And to prove it, there was a jockey at a dinner table and he was joking around. I don't even remember his name, but you'll hear it at some point probably. And he was at the dinner table joking around. He's like, oh, I accidentally shocked the shit out of myself and blah, 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 blah. I'll show you the video.
The investigator also recorded Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens and Hall of Fame trainer D. Wayne Lucas laughing about the use of these painful and dangerous shocking devices.
So, long story short, I win the race and hit the finish line, and I reach over the horse, and I shocked the shit out of him.
Yeah, so he's joking about committing a felony, which is ridiculous. Another thing we need to talk about is drug use. Since these horses are being run constantly, their hoofs hurt, their feet are hurting. Like, one vet is just like, you can't run this horse. Like, it's just a nub. Like, there's no hoof enamel. Because they're running these horses too much.
That's all missing. His foot is a little bitty nub. It's all broke off. He lost, listen to me, he lost Z-bars on both feet multiple times until he had bloody holes in the bottom of his feet.
Oh no, this is you don't have any foot at all. Quit being such an asshole. Got contracted heels. Aggravating son of a bitch. And he's got no foot. There's no wall. There's no wall.
He doesn't even have a pulse in this one. He's barely got one in the... Stick your thumb in there. Right there in that front. Oh, right there. Don't touch it again. Oh, you can't take a brush. No, it's been like that for 3 months. Right there. From putting a Z-bar over the top of it and rotted. Put your thumb in that hole right there.
Listen, I know the hurts. This hurts.
Let me show you this hole. This is tricky. We tried super glue in that hole. Super glue.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
And that horse, Nero, the one they were talking about, he died just a couple days later on Kentucky Derby Day. I mean, this was back in 2013. It's like there's no wall, there's no hoof enamel, like it's just a tiny nub and the horses are in pain. And so since these horses are in pain, they use drugs to mask the pain. But of course, using drugs exacerbates the damage. One drug that these horses are being injected with is Lasix. Lasix, also known as a furosemide, is described as an anti-bleeding medication, is used by veterinarians in horse racing to prevent respiratory bleeding in horses running at high speed. Blood entering the lungs during high physical activity can cause a pulmonary hemorrhage and result in death. Oh, so not only are they pushing horses so hard that they're going to choke on their own tongue, but they're pushing them so hard that they're going to bleed in their own lungs. That's not concerning at all. They use phenylbutazone, which is to mask inflammation. It's an anti-inflammation. And they also use corticosteroids for pain and inflammation as well. Actually, many racehorses actually become addicted to these drugs. It's bad, and up to 60% of these horses are drugged.
Horses, mother fucking break your heart every day. There's always something wrong with it.
To train and race through all the injuries, exhaustion, and pain, horses are subjected to an endless cycle of performance-enhancing medication.
And so these drugs are also causing problems. When these horses are running, they are more susceptible to breakdowns. The drugs are only making it worse. Did you know that every day 3 horses die on a racetrack on average? Which means probably like 24 horses die every week. 24 horses a week? Well, what's 24 plus times 365 days a year? Just did the math on a calculator, and on average around the world, 8,760 horses die on the racetrack. 2,000 of them in the US. I'm going to leave a link below to the website Horse Racing Wrongs, and you can read every single horse and their death injury stated on that website. Thousands of horses were killed last year. A dozen were killed just before Kentucky Derby Day. And people are all like, whoa, why is this happening? Because it's horse racing, dumbass. I'm going to show a compilation of horses breaking down on the racetrack. Beware, it is graphic, and if you do not want to see this, I suggest you leave. To the horses that do survive all of that? Well, usually at the end, once they stop making money for the owners, they are sent off to slaughterhouses. They are put on slaughter trucks and taken to Canada and Mexico and slaughtered because they are not a living buck anymore. Until these horses are crippled or they just aren't making owners cash anymore, they are sent to slaughter. And then on to the next horse. They just keep breeding and breeding and breeding. So the cycle continues. The cycle of crippling and breaking down horses and slaughtering them continues. Here is footage of horses inside of slaughterhouses and auctions. So after all I've shown you, after all of these yearlings being broken down, all these horses, young horses being whipped and shocked, all these horses being drugged, all these horses breaking down, and these horses being sent to slaughter, do you still think horse racing is okay? Do you think something like this is okay to continue? Having 10,000 horses die every single year? Well, if you don't, good. You can stop supporting horse racing by not going to any races, by not watching any races on TV, by not watching any content on the internet, just don't do anything that has to do with horse racing unless it is anti-horse racing and to stop horse racing. These perfectly good young horses are dying because of greedy people. And I really hope that you learned something today and realized how terrible the sport of kings really is. I am going to leave a link below to horse racing wrongs and the articles that were done by PETA in my description box, so that way you can know what evidence I was using. And of course, these people actually were filmed and recorded, so this isn't just made up, oh, horse racing is fine, this is all made up stuff. No, not if there's actual recordings and pictures and articles on it. It's proof. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like by punching the like button right in the face. And I'd really appreciate it if you smash the red subscribe button and ding the notification bell to become part of the family. Also, in sense of this video, I would like you to share this to others and spread the word about how terrible horse racing really is, because we really need to shut this thing down. 95% of horse racing is abuse. There is only 5% of horse racers that actually give a shit about their animals and don't push them too hard and don't use them, start them so young. Those people are the good horse racers, but this public horse racing needs to be stopped. So please spread this. I love you guys so much, and I thank you guys again for watching. Peace, love, and blessings to you all. Bye.